You've probably heard it your entire life. Milk builds strong bones. Or milk, it does the body good. Those messages have been pushed for generations, but they really took off in the 90s right alongside that smug little slogan, "Got milk?" But calcium, that mineral that builds strong bones, doesn't come from cows. It comes from dirt. It comes from plants. Cows just kind of repackaged it for us. And the richest sources of it aren't hiding in supermarket aisles, they're growing wild right beneath your feet. The same weeds we pull from our gardens, mow over, or curse are packed with the minerals that keep our bones strong and our hearts beating steady. Today we're meeting 7 wild plants that are richer in calcium than dairy. No plastic jugs required. And if you like your food a little on the wild side, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. You might feel this one before you see it. Hopefully not, because the sting of fresh nettles is unforgettable. But behind the sting is one of the most nutrient-dense plants on the planet. Nettles are loaded with calcium, nearly 4 times as much as milk, plus magnesium, iron, potassium, and even a good amount of plant-based protein, roughly twice as much as spinach. Sadly for Popeye, it never came in cans. And once you blanch, steam, saute, or dry them, that sting disappears, leaving behind a flavor that's rich and earthy, kind of like a cross between spinach and green tea. I like them wilted into soups, but you can use them anywhere you'd use greens, including smoothies. Just make sure to blanch them first. Let's talk about that "Got Milk" slogan real quick. It wasn't a public health announcement. It was a marketing campaign pushed by the dairy industry to sell more milk. The campaign was created in 1993 by the ad agency Goodby Silverstein and Partners for the California Milk Processor Board, and later adopted nationally by the Milk Processor Education Program, funded by, you guessed it, the dairy industry. Of course, it was dressed up to look like a public health initiative, but the goal was simple: get people to buy more dairy. And because it mostly targeted kids and teens, it worked brilliantly. It helped create a generation of adults who thought milk wouldn't just build strong bones, it might even make you cool or sexy. And while milk does have calcium, it's not the only or even best source. As we'll see, some of the richest calcium sources are growing wild right under your feet. I've got mallow growing right off my back steps, and it's one of my favorite easy greens to cook with. No sting involved. In fact, the leaves are soft and tender to the touch. It's packed with calcium, about twice as much as milk, plus magnesium, potassium, and vitamin A. That's not just good for bones, it's good for everything from bones to muscle, nerves, and vision. Mallow leaves are soft and mild, which make them perfect for scrambling into eggs or folding into omelets. They add a creamy texture and a subtle earthy flavor that's surprisingly versatile. You can also saute or steam them just like spinach. They make an excellent thickener for soups and stews, thanks to their gut-friendly mucilage. If you want to learn more about that, check out the video in the card or in the comments section below. You'll find lambsquarters just about anywhere soil gets disturbed. Gardens, fence lines. Mine grows right off my back porch. And it's one of my favorite wild greens. People call it wild spinach for a good reason. It's in the same family, tastes almost identical, and in many ways, in almost all ways, it's even better for you. Lambsquarters is rich in calcium, around 2.5 times more than moo juice, as well as iron, magnesium, and potassium. And it also packs more vitamin A and protein than spinach. It's a remarkably complete green with a soft texture that cooks down beautifully. It tastes great raw when the leaves are young and tender, but it really shines lightly steamed or sauteed with a bit of oil and salt. Literally any recipe that calls for spinach will be supercharged by substituting lambsquarters. It's a true one-to-one replacement. Lambsquarters is literally a superfood, it's just never got a marketing team. Shepherd's purse is a small, unassuming plant that pops up almost everywhere. Don't let its size fool you. It's packed with calcium, about twice the amount as milk, plus iron, potassium, and vitamin C, making it an excellent addition to a nutrient-rich diet. The young leaves have a mild, slightly peppery flavor, and the seed pods are edible too with a mustardy kick. That's because it's part of the mustard family, which also means once it pops up, it's prolific. You can toss the leaves into salads, saute them with other greens, or stir them into soups for a mineral boost. Shepherd's purse is easy to harvest, grows in almost any soil, and keeps coming back year after year. Amaranth might not sound impressive at first. Most people just call it pigweed. That name doesn't do it justice. It hides how truly wonderful these plants are. There are actually several species all lumped together as pigweed, and they're all edible, nutrient-dense, and thriving wherever soil gets a little disturbed. Spinach is in the same family as its lambsquarters, so you know you're in good company. Amaranth isn't a modern supergreen. The Aztecs and Mayans relied on it as a staple crop. They used both the leaves and seeds for food, medicine, and even for ceremonial purposes. It was a foundation plant in their diet, packed with protein and minerals, and helped sustain entire civilizations long before supermarket greens existed. It was their primary source of calcium. There were no cows in pre-Columbian America, and no one was milking animals, which, when you think about it, is kind of a weird thing to do. Amaranth leaves are packed with calcium, almost twice as much as dairy milk, along with magnesium, iron, and a good amount of protein. They're tender when young, hold up well in cooking, and have a mild, earthy flavor that works in almost any recipe calling for a leafy green. Like lambsquarters, if you don't know how to cook it, just substitute it for spinach. So, remember the 4 food groups you were taught in school? They might not have been as wholesome as you remember. The inclusion of dairy and meat as core groups in federal dietary guidelines, which influenced school lunches and health classes, was heavily supported by industry lobbying. For example, the National Dairy Council, essentially a marketing team, lobbied to promote milk as essential for strong bones. The resulting guidelines were presented as scientific and taught in schools until 1991, but they served more to encourage long-term consumption of certain products than to reflect real nutrition. Dandelions aren't just those yellow flowers that turn up in your lawn no matter how often you mow. They're a powerhouse of nutrients, especially calcium. Fresh dandelion greens have over 1.5 times as much calcium as milk. They also bring magnesium, iron, potassium, and vitamins A and K to the table, making them an all-around bone-boosting green. The leaves are tender when young and slightly more bitter as they mature. That bitterness is a part of their charm. It makes them excellent for digestion and liver support, a function milk can't do. You can eat them raw in salads if you like a little bite, or saute them lightly with garlic and oil to mellow the flavor. They also add a nutrient-rich punch to soups, stews, or grain bowls. And don't forget the roots. Dandelion roots are rich in minerals, prebiotic fiber, and compounds that support liver and gut health. You can roast them for a coffee-like drink, simmer them in teas, or add small pieces to stews. Dandelions are abundant, easy to harvest, and incredibly forgiving. They grow almost anywhere, and unlike some greens, they keep coming back year after year. Plantain is one of those wild greens that often sneaks up under your radar, but it's a real nutrient powerhouse. There are 3 common species in North America: broadleaf, narrowleaf, and buckhorn. All of them are edible. Plantain leaves are packed with calcium, not quite as much as milk, but close, plus magnesium, potassium, and vitamins A, C, and K. They're excellent for supporting bone circulation and overall health. The young leaves are tender and mild, perfect for salads or lightly sautéed like spinach. Older leaves are tougher but still useful. Chop them into soups or stews, or even dry and powder them as a mineral-rich seasoning. Plantain is also known for its soothing compounds. Crushed leaves can be applied to minor cuts, bites, or stings, and internally they support gut health and digestion. Let's see milk do all that. It grows almost anywhere: lawns, roadsides, gardens, even in this crack in my driveway. And it's virtually impossible to eradicate. Trust me. Like most of the wild greens we're talking about, it's abundant, free, and ready whenever you are. And there are several reasons someone might define calcium in other things than milk. Maybe you're a vegan or vegetarian. Maybe you don't digest dairy well. Or maybe you just want your nutrients straight from the plants that actually make them, instead of the cow that ate them. Not to mention, cows aren't the most efficient way to extract nutrients from dirt. The good news is, the world is full of calcium-rich wild greens, abundant, free, and thriving right under your feet. From stinging nettles and lambsquarters to mallow, amaranth, dandelions, plantain, and shepherd's purse, these plants bring minerals, protein, and flavor to your meals. They're easy to cook, easy to forage, and often more nutrient-dense than the foods we've been told are essential. And the best part? You don't have to plant a thing. They're already there waiting for you to notice. And once you do notice them, they're everywhere. A quick note about vitamin D. It helps the body absorb calcium, which is why milk is often fortified with it. There are two main forms: D2 from plants and fortified foods, and D3, which your skin makes from sunlight. D3 tends to be more effective, and vegan D3 from lichen is now easy to find. If you don't drink dairy, your best sources are sunlight, of course, UV-exposed mushrooms, including those grown outdoors, fatty fish like salmon and sardines, and fortified plant-based milks, like almond milk. So get out there and explore your yard, your neighborhood, or the wild corners of your town, and let those plants show you what real nutrition looks like. If you love discovering the wild, nutrient-packed plants hiding around you, consider subscribing to the channel. And remember, every like and share helps someone learn to eat just a little better. Hit the bell so you never miss a wild edible adventure, and if you want to support the work, check out my Substack or Ko-fi links in the description. So, got weeds? Nah. And as always, eat the weeds.